So there was this time just a few years ago, 2020, I believe it was, that I literally almost died. True story. It was the time of COVID, and I guess I had COVID, but I didn't know it. That's what they called asymptomatic. I felt like I had a little bit of a cold, but it was no big deal. And my wife decided that we were going to go to Cancun and take the whole family to Cancun for Thanksgiving. We're going to have a great Thanksgiving in Cancun. So I got some medicine. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't feeling 100%, but I wasn't real sick, just like a cold. And so I took some medicine and I thought, what's the doctor going to say? It's going to say, take your medicine and rest. All right, well, I can rest in beautiful room in Cancun overlooking the ocean as easy as I can anywhere. So we went to Cancun, and it wasn't the next day after we got there. All of a sudden, I started feeling a whole lot worse, and I literally I couldn't hardly breathe. And we had a little oxygen concentrator that we took with us, but that wasn't putting out enough oxygen to keep my O2 saturation up. And to make a long story short, the hotel couldn't bring in enough oxygen because what had happened, and we didn't realize this until after the fact, but what had happened is my lungs had filled full of pneumonia as a result of the COVID that I had. Don't ask me how that happened. I can't give you the medical explanation. It's just this is what happened. And my son-in-law, who is a nurse practitioner, he came the next day. And they had one of those little things, that you put on your finger that measure your O2 saturation. And mine was in the low 70s and getting into the 60s. Well, for those of you that don't understand medicine or what that means, that's really bad. That means your organs are going to start to shut down. And I knew I felt really bad. But quite honestly, the truth, I never, ever thought I was going to die. I never thought I was going to die. I've always considered myself very, very strong mentally, and I never thought I was going to die. But I'll never forget, his name is Zach. I was laying down in bed, and he was talking to my wife, and he said, you've got 24 hours to get him to a hospital or he's gone. And thought, okay, hopefully he's exaggerating, but he wasn't. I mean, now that I understand more about my O2 saturation, it was bad. So here's the lesson I want you guys to get from this story. I've always told my children when it comes to money, okay, if you asked any one of them individually, what does dad tell you about money? What does money do? Money gives you choices. That's what money does. Money's not about making you better than somebody else. I've never taught my children that, nor have I tried to behave that way. It doesn't make you better than anybody else. As a matter of fact, if the Lord blesses you with money, he's blessing you so that you can do things to help others. So it gives you those kind of choices too, how you can help other people make their lives better. And I could preach to you on that point, but I won't. But I'll tell you this. I've always taught my children money gives you choices. Well, so here I am laying on a bed in a very nice room overlooking the ocean in Cancun, being told that I have 24 hours to live. So my oldest daughter, Brienne, happened to know somebody that knew somebody, and we found a Metaflight that was in Phoenix. Now, granted, I'm in Cancun. This is the day before Thanksgiving. This is Wednesday. Thanksgiving's on a Thursday. And so they found this Metaflight in Cancun, and they said, yeah, we can come get him. You're just going to have to wire us $27,000. Well, I had $27,000. And she had $27,000 because actually I wasn't up for putting up the money. She just took care of it, told me later how much it cost. So she wired the $27,000, and this Learjet, and I'm going to tell you more about a Learjet in a minute, but this Learjet with 3 medical team, well, a pilot plus the two nurses, were on the flight. Maybe it's two pilots. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So they flew into Cancun that evening. Ambulance came pick me up, took me to the airplane. Well, a Learjet has got a very, very tiny fuselage. I mean, a tiny fuselage. So they go to load me up, and I mean, I battle claustrophobia. And my wife battles claustrophobia. She was that close to saying, brother, you were on your own. I'll meet you back home. But she overcame it and she got on the plane. But it was tight. It was tight. They had a cot where I could lay down. They hooked me up to all sorts of stuff. And of course, they gave me oxygen. Well, listen, I'm from Oklahoma City. 2.5 hours later, let's say it was really fast. We were at Will Rogers Airport, ambulance there to meet us, took me to St. Anthony's Hospital, checked me into a room all by myself, literally all by myself, because they all thought I had COVID. Come to find out, I didn't. I'd had it, but it was in the past. I didn't have it at that time. But you remember how COVID was and everybody freaked out about everything. So they put me in a room. Fortunately, I got a room at the very end that had a window. So I could wave at my wife and my family out through the window, and there was a parking garage across the street, and they'd go up to the top of the parking garage and they'd wave back at me, and we'd talk on the phone. I was there for 4 days, and I'll never forget waking up on Thanksgiving morning so depressed. I mean, this went from this wonderful family vacation that we were going to have and Thanksgiving in a beautiful destination to I'm in a hospital room all by myself. My family can't be in there with me. I'm just there by myself. That was a low point. I mean, I was depressed. And I was bound, bitten, determined that I was going to find some way to get out of that hospital room. I was going to think myself well. And let's just say I got out of there a lot faster than they ever thought I was going to. I think it's 3 or 4 days. And I got my O2 saturation up to the point that they would let me out as long as I took portable oxygen home with me. But that was, so the lesson that I want you guys to learn, sometimes you're wondering, why, what's my why? What's my motivation to get out there and do more? Well, listen, guys, you never know what is going to happen to you in life. And there are very, very few problems. There's some, but there are very few problems that cannot be solved through excessive income. There are medical remedies that if you've got the money, they may be non-traditional, but they work. And if you've got the money, you can use that money to heal yourself, make yourself well. There are other things that you can do and other choices that you have if you have the financial resources. And remember, it's not just all about you. There are other people out there that need help. And they need people like you that have a giving heart, that are willing to contribute to help them. So I've always taught my children, money gives you choices. It doesn't make you better than anybody else, but money gives you choices. And because I did what I had to do to earn money, I believe that because of that, I'm here today. If I didn't have $27,000, if my daughter didn't have $27,000, I would have died in Mexico. True story. So think about that as you're trying to motivate yourself in your business. I hope this helps you.